October 12th, 2019, 2:23 a.m., Fort Worth, Texas. James Smith couldn't sleep. He looked out his window and noticed something. That bothered him. Not something dangerous, not something alarming, just wrong. His neighbor's front doors were open, both of them, in the middle of the night. He knew the woman who lived there, knew she was taking care of her sick mother, knew she was responsible, careful, the kind of person who would not leave her doors wide open at 2 in the morning, for no reason. So he did what any concerned neighbor would do. He picked up the phone and called police, not because he thought a crime was happening, not because he heard screaming or saw violence. He called because he wanted someone to make sure his neighbor was okay. That phone call cost Atatiana Jefferson her life. Let that sit. For a moment, a neighbor called. Because he cared, police arrived. Because someone asked them to help, and 28-year-old Atatiana Jefferson was dead before sunrise. Nobody broke in. Nobody threatened anyone. Nobody did anything wrong, except one man. Before we go further, you need to understand who Atatiana Jefferson was. She was not just visiting that house. She lived there. Friends and family called her Tay. She loved science, loved learning, but more than anything, she loved her nephew, Zion. The two of them had their own late-night ritual, video games, long sessions after midnight, while the rest of the house slept, an aunt and a nephew building their own little world, one game at a time. On the night of October 11th, Zion was staying with her. They were awake late, playing games together. At some point, the front doors had been left open. Maybe someone forgot. Maybe the latch never caught. It does not really matter. What matters is what happened next. He was calm. He did not report a burglary. He specifically called the non-emergency line. 2 officers were dispatched, and this is where everything began to go wrong, because instead of walking to the open front door, Officer Aaron Dean moved around the side of the house. He opened a gate and entered the backyard. He never knocked. He never identified himself. He never said the words, Fort Worth Police. At no point did Atatiana Jefferson have any reason to believe the person moving through her backyard in the middle of the night was a police officer sent there to help her. Inside the house, Zion heard something. His aunt heard it too. Movement outside. Footsteps. A flashlight slowly sweeping across the backyard. In the darkness, Atatiana told Zion to stay where he was. She grabbed her legally owned handgun. She was licensed to carry it. She moved toward the window to see who was outside. She was not acting recklessly. She was protecting her nephew. Officer Dean approached the bedroom window. He pointed his flashlight. Through the glass, a figure, a silhouette. He had less than a second to decide. He shouted, "Put your hands up. Show me your hands." One command. No identification. Before she could understand who was outside, before she could do anything at all, Aaron Dean fired one shot. Through the window, Atatiana Jefferson collapsed onto the floor. Zion never left the room. He saw his aunt fall. He was 8 years old. The entire encounter lasted only seconds, and what prosecutors revealed during the trial changed how many people saw the case entirely. Aaron Dean did not actually see a gun in Atatiana's hand before firing. This is not a circumstance where they are staring at the barrel of a gun. The evidence will support he did not see the gun in her hand. This is not self-defense. This is murder. Atatiana had every legal right to possess a firearm inside her own home because that officer never identified himself, not once. Atatiana's father died of cardiac arrest in November 2019. He was 59. People said he never recovered from the shock. The shock destroyed him. Then in January 2020, Atatiana's mother also passed away. The same mother Atatiana had moved home to care for. In less than 4 months, one family lost 3 people. And Zion was forced to carry a burden no 8-year-old should ever carry. He was the one who called his mother. After the shooting, the first thing he told me was he was sad. And I asked him why. And he told me because the police had shot his aunt. Aaron Dean resigned before they could fire him, arrested, charged with murder, posted his $200,000 bond, and walked free. In a few hours, the trial did not begin until December 2022, more than 3 years. After Atatiana died, not guilty of murder, guilty of manslaughter, 12 years, 12 years. For firing through a bedroom window in front of an 8-year-old child. Fort Worth renamed the road. Near her home, the Atatiana Jefferson Memorial Parkway, her family created the Atatiana Project, a program to inspire children to pursue science, keeping her passion alive. Zion is a teenager now, but he still carries the memory of that night with him. And then there is James Smith, the neighbor who made the call. He carries guilt. To this day, he wishes he had simply walked across the street himself, and maybe he is right, but he is not the person who walked through that gate. He is not the person who never said police. A concerned neighbor made a phone call, and the system turned it into a death sentence. Atatiana Jefferson moved back home to care for her sick mother. She stayed up late, playing video games with the nephew she loved. She heard movement outside and grabbed a gun to protect the child in her care, and she died in her own bedroom because a police officer never bothered to say who he was. If Officer Dean had knocked on the front door and said 2 words, Fort Worth Police, would Atatiana Jefferson still be alive? 1 knock, 2 words. Subscribe to Rulik Enigmas and turn on the bell so you never miss another case, because here we do not talk about famous crimes, we talk about the cases people slowly forgot, the ones where families are still waiting for someone to say the victim's name. One more time, say her name, Atatiana Jefferson, Tay. She deserved better, and so does the truth.